and welcome back to the DoneDeal YouTube channel. Today we're reviewing the all-new Seat Leon. Now Seat has been advancing leaps and bounds here in Ireland. They've gained market share after market share. Last year alone they increased their sales by over 10%. Now this is mostly attributed to cars like the Ateca and the Arona, which we've both previously reviewed and are fantastic. However, the Leon has big boots to fill there, and let's start with the visuals. It is absolutely gorgeous. It's got these striking different lines. It has an aggressive front to it, and don't even start me on the rear. It is breathtakingly beautiful. If you're a subscriber of our channel, if you're not, make sure to subscribe. You'll know that very recently we reviewed the Volkswagen Golf Mark 8 and we absolutely adored it. Well, this Leon is actually built on the same chassis. The interior is quite similar, and in fact a lot of it is very, very similar, except the price. Prices start around the 24,000 euros mark. That is about 4,000 euros less than the Golf. So how much different can it be? In today's review we will find out. Just like any car, that 24,000 euro isn't actually going to be the car that you want to buy. In fact, you're going to want something like the F4 or this, the Xcellence, which come in at around 28,000 euros. Now this one is actually spec'd with another 5k on top of that. You pay 800 euro for the larger 10-inch screen, you get the Beat sound system, and you get the bigger alloys. Now remember when speccing a car that these things don't hold their value as well in the long run. Things like a bigger screen will, because it's visibly noticeable, but the Beat stereo probably won't really be the difference between you buying and not buying in the second-hand market. Now, let's talk about some of the practicality, the storage. Seats, very comfortable. They are Seat seats. Should I have called them Seats? Anyway, very comfortable. Steering, very adjustable. It's all very good in here, and the storage, again, really nice. A big cup holder here. Door bins that are not carpeted, so there's a difference between this and the Golf. You've also got wireless charging down here. 2 USB-C points, so if you have any USB points, you're going to need an adapter, which is still a little bit annoying. We're not quite at the stage where everyone has USB-C charging systems. The other thing you have is a lovely big glove box. Nice and easy. Very, very basic. That actually almost feels maybe a little bit cheaper than something like a Volkswagen, but all in all, it feels really nice. Now let's talk about the infotainment system. Much like the Golf, Seat have gone for a very minimalist look in here, and it does really, really work. It's nice, it's simple. However, it can be a little bit complicated. The infotainment system, although it has so much to offer, if you're not very tech savvy, you're going to struggle a little bit with it, but you might get used to it after a while. So obviously it's touch sensitive, it all works really well. Apple Carplay is actually now wireless, which is really good, same as the Golf. However, if you have an Android, you're still going to need one of those wires. Don't know why all these manufacturers are kind of having something out against Android, but it is what it is. And of course, Apple CarPlay works fantastically. You've got all your usual settings. You can change your heating is up here. Now this could be something that people like or dislike. I don't mind not having it. However, it is a little bit annoying that, let's say you want to blast the AC really quickly, you have to go through the settings, and driving it can be a little bit sketchy. Now on top of that, of course, you have your buttons here to slide up and down your temperature. It's the same with the volume, which leads me over to the steering section. So the steering wheel is really nice, it's got a good feel, and behind it you've got that digital dash, which is 10 out of 10. It's just so customizable. You can change your view, you can change absolutely everything. It's really, really good. On top of that, you do have a few buttons, some kind of quick releases almost, let's say. You can adjust the volume, you can change the radio station. It's all very, very accessible here. And the other thing that the Golf has as well is your light panel over here. It's no longer buttons and knobs. It's now almost a touch sensitive pad, which is, you can like it or you can dislike it. That's completely up to you. Personally, I like it. I think it's a step in the right direction, but maybe that's because I'm a bit of a millennial. The last thing I do want to talk about is in fact the fact that you can change all of the different settings in the car here. So you can change the interior lighting at night, you can set the mood, it can be blue, it can be red, it can be yellow, much like the Golf. And that's the crazy thing, it's a Seat, it's supposed to be subpar maybe to the Golf, but it really does have a lot of the same things on offer. In the rear, you'll be pleasantly surprised. Compared to its predecessor, there's a lot more space, and there's a very good reason for that. So the new Leon is quite a little bit longer, and 70% of that extra length has gone to rear passenger space. So there's absolutely loads of space. Some would say there's an excellent amount of space. Other features in here, you have your USB-C points. Now, being honest, myself and the cameraman are tech guys, or would be considered tech guys, and we realise we don't own anything that has USB-C, so maybe a little bit early for that. You've got your climate control here, a pouch under here, your handles up here, electric windows, and of course you've got your folding armrest. Now, another thing to point out is that the doors do open nice and wide, which is great for getting the baby seat in. However, you're going to struggle to get at these ISOFIX points. They're really hidden away down there, which could be a little challenge for young parents. As we come around to the rear, this is my favourite angle of the Leon. You've got the light bar going across, and I quite like the new font. However, it is splitting opinions, so let us know in the comments, do you like it? Do you hate it? It's all up to you at the end of the day. Now, as we open it up, the boot is a boot. It's 380 litres, exact same as the Golf. It's a little bit more raw though. There's no false floor like the Golf. The tethering points are exposed, so they're the same colour as the paint, which is mystery blue. And other than that, it's very basic. You've got a spare space saver wheel. You can fold down the seats and you can reach through there, but it's a little bit hard. You're better off coming around to the side and actually hooking the seat belt onto that little hook and folding them down. Now, they don't go completely flat, and there is quite a substantial load lip, but that's up to you whether that's an issue or not. It doesn't actually bother me personally. Driving the Leon, would you believe it's very similar to the Golf? You're sitting in your kind of area here. You definitely feel closed off by the center console. You've got your armrest nice. The steering wheel feels really good. And when it comes to actually driving, it's very tastefully set up. So let's talk about the engine. This one is a 150 horsepower 1.5 TSI engine. It's got the manual gearbox. Now, I actually quite enjoy driving a manual gearbox myself, and in terms of like how the clutch feels, honestly, it's absolutely perfect. It's really light. It's very easy to drive. However, I would advise upgrading to the DSG, which is the automatic gearbox. It will then become an eTSI, and that's going to cost you about €2,500, but it's well spent, because in the long run, I think automatic cars are going to hold their value far better in the future, because all the electric cars nowadays are automatic. They are the future of driving. Gearboxes aside, the car drives very nicely. It's well balanced. One thing that this has that the Style Pack Golf that I was testing didn't have is the different driving modes. Now, being honest, you have to scrutinize it to notice any massive differences between comfort, normal and sport. You can individually set it up so your steering might be a little bit more sensitive, but you'll still have the smoother suspension. The turning circle is brilliant. The way it drives, there's plenty of power. I would say there's definitely not as much torque as you'd feel in something like a diesel. So if you are looking for something a bit more powerful here in Ireland, then definitely opt for the 2-litre diesel. However, you will pay a little bit extra for that. In terms of driving aids and creature comforts, the Leon has quite a lot to offer. So it has lane assist, which works quite well when you get distracted and drift into the inside lane. It will pull you off the cat's eyes and correct you there. And it also has adaptive cruise control. Now, I have this in my own car and I absolutely adore it. I could barely live without it. And what it does is effectively on the motorway, you set your speed to 120 kilometers per hour and it will adjust to the car in front of you, keeping a safe distance. And it just kind of takes the hassle out of long distance driving. One thing I will mention, which is the same in the Golf and it's the same in many new cars, is that this whole movement towards the touchscreen system, it's ever so slightly unsafe. Well, I personally feel it is. I notice that I'm really having to look down here for things where I'd like a shortcut. For example, if I want to turn off my stop-start system where the engine shuts off the lights, you have to go through the infotainment system. To change your modes, if you want to overtake really quickly on a country road, you can't just put it into sport mode, you have to go through this whole system. There's no shortcut, which some people might not like, and personally I'm not a huge fan of that, and I do wish there was just a few little shortcuts down here on the bottom of the infotainment system. Just like every single review we do here on the DoneDeal channel, we like to discuss 3 of our favourite and least favourite thing. So as the good saying goes, let's start with the latter. And number 1, it is a bit nitpicking, but it's happened to me about 4 or 5 times. As I close the boot, it seems to pop right open, and then it's not till you're driving along that you notice your boot's open, and it is technically locked down, but I don't know, I feel like the weighting, you really just have to push a lot on it. Maybe say I should just put a little bit more weight at the bottom so it would hold itself closed. Number 2, now they say you haven't purchased the right car unless you look back after you lock it. Now the good news is I did actually look back at the Leon when I locked it, and the first time I did I nearly had a conniption. This is a colour-coded mud flap, but at first glance I thought there was some sort of damage, and I think it can look like a little bit of damage, which is a little bit strange. And number 3 is the lane assist. So I mentioned it's great on a motorway drive, it will bounce you off the cat's eyes, it's brilliant like that, but on a country road it's not great. It kind of struggles with crossing the side of the road as you take a corner. Now you can just switch it off, which is fine. However, then you have a constant warning light on your dash. And I don't know if I'm just OCD, but I hate having any warning lights on my dash. And being a Volkswagen owner, I've had plenty in my time. There are a lot of key features and attention to detail that we absolutely love in the Leon, one of which is the air conditioning. So basically you get a screen up here, it's very visual, and you just tap where you'd like the air to come from, so you can have it coming from your feet, from the vents here in front of you, and of course on the windscreen. Really, really like that. Number 2, and this is a magnificent feature, is the blind spot indicator. So you can see it goes on and off as a car comes into your blind spot, and you do actually have quite a large blind spot in this car, but I think it's really nice. Now this has been around for years on the wing mirrors. Putting it in here does 2 things. Number 1 is it obviously is a lot more obvious to you as a driver, but it also means that if someone hits your wing mirror, it's going to be a lot cheaper to fix than having it on the wing mirror itself. Last but not least on our favourite things about the Seat Leon is the light bar. Now I've mentioned it about 7 times already in this review. However, when you unlock the car at night time, it does a little bit of a dance for you. It also lights up underneath the wing mirrors and says hola. So the question that still stands, is the Volkswagen Golf much better than the Leon? And being honest, not massively. They're very similar cars, and it's slim pickings between the 2 of them. At the end of the day, there's small things like no carpet in the door card, no false floor in the boot. However, it's mainly about the brand, and is it worth paying that much more for the Volkswagen brand? It's up to you. What I will say is they're both damn good cars, and they are going to have a huge future, and in terms of reliability, of course, being Volkswagen and Audi group, they will run forever. Thank you so much for watching today's review. We hope you've enjoyed it. We hope you've learned something from it. We wish you all the best and an enjoyable shopping experience, as buying a new car is a really exciting time in your life. For now, thanks again for watching, subscribe, and we'll see you in the next one.